Hi everyone, welcome to VRC with Gaurav. In this video, we are going to pick up CAT 2023 first slot and its first passage. Now I understand that the order of the passages is going to be different for everybody, but for the sake of reference with respect to the playlist that I'll build and put on this channel, let's call it passage number one. Okay. So as usual, I recommend that you pause the video here, read the entire passage, use the timestamp that I've put in the description box, go to the questions, jot down your answers, then come back to this point to check whether your comprehension is on the mark, whether your answers are correct or not. Okay. Anyway, without any delay, let's get started. Okay. Now, coming to the narrative, coming to the content of the passage, uh, before we jump into the details, some help, extra help coming from my end for let's say people who are not quite aware of, or let's say जिनका geography काफी weak है. So this is a very rudimentary map which is useful for this passage. This area where I'm moving my laser right now, this is the Indian Ocean area. ठीक है, and the entire passage, the entire narrative is about the Indian Ocean world. So, what are we talking about exactly? The author lays the areas of discussion for us very explicitly, very clearly. It is the coasts of East Africa, and what would that be? This is the coast of East Africa. I've also put the compass here, the direction east. So right word जो आपके direction में दिख रहा है, the part that I'm highlighting. So this could be, let's say, the East Africa. Okay, all right, fair enough. What else? What else? The Arab coasts. Okay, so what are the Arab coasts? The Arabian Peninsula is this one. Okay, this one is the Arabian Peninsula. And what else do we have given over here? South and East Asia. This should be fairly easy to understand. This is nothing but this entire. We have the Indian Peninsula, of course, happening over here. Then East Asia. Then we also have a lot of Indonesia happening and blah blah blah. Done. Okay. So all in all, this area which I have highlighted, of course, this is the massive ocean, and we have very important coastal regions over here. Uske around में the entire discussion is happening. Okay. So if you are someone who has forgotten geography completely and were left stranded imagining कि यार कौन से area की बात हो रही है, sometimes you are talking about Africa, sometimes you are talking about something else. So this is the context. ठीक है, चलो आगे बढ़ते हैं. Now coming to the narrative, I'll walk you through the paragraph one by one. बहुत प्यारा पैसेज है, very wonderfully written. थोड़ा सा इंटरेस्ट चाहिए in history, geography, culture, how they evolved, then the passage becomes a very lovely read. If you are someone hyper allergic to this topic, then ठीक है, maybe you might find it a bit dull or boring, but yes, थोड़ा सा curiosity रखिए, you will like it. Coming to the passage, first paragraph, we are discussing particular एक time period में लिखा गया literature, and what is that? Post colonial. Now the term colonialism, colonial, ये अगर मैं explain करने जाऊँ तो it can become a separate lecture altogether. In my VRC classes, I actually dedicate a couple of lectures for history where I explain different time periods in history, ताकि when such passages come in the exam, people are able to understand कि किस time period की बात हो रही है. ठीक है, but for now let's say 1950s, 1960s, 1970s, ये time period की बात हो रही है. So whatever novels that were written during that time, most of those focused on the nation. ठीक है, now this nation can be any country. Okay, it might be India, it might be some African country, it might be Indonesia, whatever. ठीक है, so the author is talking about this, that most of the novels written during that period, they would focus on the definition of a nation, the story of a country, the story of a nation, and the novel would focus on that only. Okay, nothing bad in that, fair enough, this is all right. But where does the problem lie in? Author is saying that okay, ऐसे novels लिखने से it was important to support nationalism, anti-colonial nationalism. Imagine India seeking independence from the British. Okay, so such kind of novels, such stories were necessary to justify Indian struggle for independence from the colonial British. Okay, so that should be an easy to understand example for you. But this is a very important criticism getting leveled by the author. What does he say? एक shortcoming थे ये सारे novels में. What were those? That these could be potentially quite limiting. लिमिटेशन है उनके ऊपर में. कैसे? दैट मोस्ट ऑफ देम वर लैंड फोकस्ड एंड इनवर्ड लुकिंग. सो व्हाट डू वी मीन व्हेन आई से इनवर्ड लुकिंग? इट मीन्स अ बिट सेल्फ ऑब्सेस्ड और नॉट ओपन टू the broader world out there. काफी सेल्फ सेंटर्ड चल रहा है narrative. Maybe if the story of the novel is, let's say, centered around India, so very inward looking, it will talk only and only about India and the culture inside. That's it. But the place of India in the broader world out there with respect to that, वो part missing. ठीक है. So moving ahead, author then says कि चलो ठीक है, this category of novel aside, I have written a book, he says. Okay, writing ocean worlds. Okay, fair enough. Now, please pay attention. The author has written a book, but the book has description of 4 other books inside it. Okay, and what other 4 books are we talking about? The books written by, okay, the books written by Amitav Ghosh, Abdul Razak Gurna or Gurna, I don't know, Lindsay Collin, and Joseph Conrad. Okay, all right. And what is the primary feature of the novels written by these 4 authors? They are focusing on the Indian Ocean world. They are focusing on the Indian Ocean world. They are not focused on just one single country like described to us in the first paragraph. They are broadly talking about the Indian Ocean world. And what exactly is the Indian Ocean world? The author of the passage actually introduces that to us fairly late. He explains that to us in the third paragraph. That what does he mean by the Indian Ocean world? He means the coast of East Africa, जो हमने अभी discuss किया था, the map which I had shown to you, the Arab coasts and South and East Asia. That's it. And of course the massive ocean included. ठीक है, ठीक है, all right. Now, what is the feature, or what is the author's attitude about these 4 authors who have written about that particular geographical area? Instead of fixating on one country, one nation, they are broadly talking about such a diverse and huge geographical region. And what is the author's attitude regarding these guys? He says that, okay, they differ from each other in one particular aspect, maybe that are potentially all very different. Conrad is very colonially inclined, while you have another fellow who is radically anti-capitalist. Now, you did not remember any of these names. What's important is that the author has highlighted one key difference, that these 4 fellows, these 4 personalities, these 4 others, they were not necessarily made of the same mold. No, they could be very different personalities. But what is the common feature that they share with each other? That is the focus of the author actually over here, and let's highlight that. Their work reveals a world which is very outward looking. Now please keep in mind, why are we looking at the word outward looking? Because it is exact opposite of the criticism leveled earlier, inward looking. So kahin na kahin author, he who was not very satisfied with the novels of post-colonial times, early post-colonial times. He finds a lot of, let's say, relief, or he finds a lot of happiness because the novels written by these 4 fellows, Amitabh Ghosh, Gurna, and all that, their novels are outward looking. Good, excellent. What are the other features? They are full of movement, a lot of action is happening, border crossing, okay? And South-South interconnection. This is a fairly important part. We'll come to it a bit later. But the part which I'm highlighting throughout the passage, they are very important ones. So try to keep in mind that instead of paraphrasing minute details and wasting your time over here, I am highlighting the important parts of the paragraph directly. Okay? Now it's up to you which parts you would like to paraphrase for yourself and reading. Depends on the retention and memory and comprehension of everyone. So the approach differs for everybody. Coming to the third paragraph. Okay. Now, by the way, sorry. The praise, the appreciation by the author continues in the second paragraph towards the end. What he says is that the world, the stories written by these 4 authors, it has had an amazing positive impact. And what positive impact are we talking about? That this has the effect of remapping the world in the reader's mind. Okay, as centered in the interconnected global south, dot. And you can also find a lot of dot in the second paragraph also. It means that the original source has much more detailed writing, but the person who created this RC passage, he or she decided कि नहीं चलो ठीक है, कुछ चेरी पिकिंग करेंगे ओरिजिनल सोर्स से, ओरिजिनल आर्टिकल से. ठीक है. So what do we have till now in the story? Author has said post-colonial literature novels generally fixated on just one nation, one country, pretty inward-looking, pretty self-centered. But I have written a book about 4 authors, about their different novels, And what is amazing about those novels is that कि ये सारे के सारे outward looking है. They don't fixate on just one nation. They fixate on the Indian Ocean का पूरा region, including the ocean and the important geographical areas that surround it. And these guys, the way they have written their stories, the way they have written their novels, it recreates the world. It recreates an perception in the reader's mind कि आप और मैं अगर उनकी किताब लेकर बैठेंगे तो we will come out with a different view of the world altogether, which is something very amazing. Okay, it's not easy to change somebody's perception with just the written word, but these guys seem to have succeeded in that. Moving ahead, in the third paragraph, author is laying out some objective information before us. What does he say? He traditionally moving inland, मतलब moving from one city to another city via land, it was a difficult job. But if the two cities are connected to each other via ports, meaning via sea, then amazing connectivity historically. बहुत बढ़िया हम travel कर सकते हैं, easily पहुंच सकते हैं. So what does the author suggest in the third paragraph? It's something along this line that let's consider a very popular port, Mumbai. So going from Mumbai to Delhi, which is a completely inland city, it's a very painful task. But let's say you have to go from Mumbai to Dubai, maybe by sea. Okay, we are talking about travel by sea. Then this is far easy, far better to do as compared to this. That's what is suggested by the author over here. All right, going ahead. So, what is the focus of the author of the passage over here? What does he want to convey to us by mentioning this? He suggests that because of this amazing interconnection, he mentions a very appreciable thing over here, that we now have a lot of evidence on our hand that suggests कि जो चीज को आज हम globalization कहते हैं, it first appeared in the Indian Ocean. Oh my God, this is so amazing. Highly appreciative statement, even though objective, but globalization and giving the credit, giving the origin of globalization, this phenomena to this region speaks of others' appreciation about this region, about its geography, about its story, all that stuff. Okay? And this very region and this very story, he says, is mentioned and reproduced by the novels in the book. Okay? So once again, I would like to bring to your notice, the author is not writing any story by himself. What he is doing is, he has made a book in which he is talking about the novels, in which he is talking about the stories written by these four authors. So it's like किताब के अंदर किताबें, somewhat of an Inception type situation. Okay, I hope that you know the movie Inception by Christopher Nolan. Dream में dream, वैसा book में books. All right. Fourth paragraph is amazing. Pay close attention. Fourth paragraph is amazing. What does the author say? कि आप ना जो सबसे कॉमनली फाउंड फिक्शन है इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज में, उसको उठा के देखो. व्हाट विल यू फाइंड? व्हाट विल यू फाइंड? कॉमन इंग्लिश फिक्शन फीचर्स. वी विल फाइंड टिपिकल क्लीशे थिंग्स लाइक, यार देखो ये लोग पूरा वेस्टर्न कंट्रीज पे फोकस रहता है, सो यू विल हैव स्टोरीज व्हिच सेंटर अराउंड यूरोप और यूएस और नॉर्थ अमेरिका में भी. People will be, or the characters will be predominantly Christian in nature. They will be white in nature also. ठीक है, गोरे लोग basically. And the cities, the places that would be mentioned would be, Paris, oh, New York, oh, okay. तो आप देख सकते हो that the world which is prominently present in English fiction is predominantly Western in nature. Christian, white, talking about Paris, New York. The characters are typically a Western guy or Western woman. That's it. ठीक है. Next, but what is amazing over here is that, one moment please. My struggle with the colors continues. Okay. Okay. But when we talk about the novels written by these four guys, Amitabh Ghosh, Gurna, Colin, and Conrad, it's talking about Indian Ocean world. Basically it would be Africa, Arabian countries, maybe India also, or East Asian countries. Good. The backdrop is heavily Islamic in nature. It's not Christianity, and people obviously are not going to be white skinned, fair skinned नहीं होंगे. We are talking potentially about brown and black skinned people. Now this is not explicitly written in the paragraph, but you can draw this as a very legitimate inference. And it talks about port cities instead of talking about Paris, New York, oh, Italy. No, it's talking about port cities like Malindi, Mombasa, Aden, Java, and Bombay. All of these are very, very prominent ports. Java is in Indonesia, Bombay, तो आप जानते ही हो, okay? And Aden is a port in the Arabian Peninsula, okay? Bombay. So this is the remarkable difference. As you can see, what does the author mean to convey to us through this fourth paragraph and the paraphrasing that I've done before you? He is highlighting कि hardly any common ground between these two groups. ठीक है, जो आपको commonly found English fiction है, उसके जो फीचर्स है वो आपको अमिताभ घोष की किताबों में नहीं मिलेगा, वो आपको अब्दुल रजाक गुरना की किताबों में नहीं मिलने वाला. आपको क्या मिलेगा वहां पे? इंडियन ओशन के अराउंड सेंटर्ड है दुनिया. इंडिया है, अफ्रीका है, अरेबियन कोस्ट है, अरेबियन पेनिनसुला है. You have Islam as the backdrop. You have stories which focus on cities like Bombay, Aden, Java, etc., etc. And what does this lead to? Once again, pay close attention to the kind of language that the author is using. It's so highly appreciative, highly positive. He's saying the result of this is कि एक ऐसी दुनिया, एक ऐसी story create होती है which is richly sensory image of a southern cosmopolitan culture. Wow. Cosmopolitan means अमेजिंग अल्टीमेट डाइवर्सिटी. सारी दुनिया के लोग आपको वहां पे मिलते हैं. ऐसी ऐसी जगह को या ऐसे प्लेस को हम कॉस्मोपॉलिटन कहते हैं. ठीक है, where the diversity is not restricted to national diversity, but we are also talking about global level diversity. That is why we can say that Mumbai is a cosmopolitan city. ठीक है, which provides for an enlarged sense of place in the world. All in all, author is once again, highly appreciative of the setting of the stories of the novels written by Ghosh, Gurna, Conrad, and Collins. ठीक है. Last paragraph focuses a bit on Africa. What does the author say about Africa? Let's highlight the important parts. That the way stories are written about Africa, or the way Africa finds a mention in the stories, एक तो पहली बात, यूरोपियन नहीं है कैरेक्टर्स. हमारे हमारे कैरेक्टर्स बहुत डाइवर्स बैकग्राउंड से आ रहे हैं. दे आर अफ्रीकन, अरेबियन, इंडियन, अ लॉट ऑफ डाइवर्सिटी, हैविंग अ वेरी डाइवर्स ऑक्यूपेशंस. एंड one very remarkable caveat thrown by the author. What does he say? That this does not mean that the Indian Ocean Africa is romanticized. Okay, now this romanticized, romantic, nothing to do with the love stories and all. Romanticize या फिर anything being romantic, उसका मीनिंग क्या होता है? फैंटेसी वाली दुनिया, where everything is beautiful, pleasant, away from the harsh reality of the world, all that stuff. ठीक है. So what does this sentence mean? कि जिस तरीके से घोष ने, गुरना ने अफ्रीका का पोर्ट्रेल किया है, इट डज नॉट मीन कि अफ्रीका में सब कुछ ब्यूटीफुली दिखाया है. अफ्रीका इज शोन एज एन अमेजिंगली ब्यूटीफुल प्लेस एंड ऑल. नो, there are some dark shades to it also present. And what are the dark shades? The author has highlighted it before us. माइग्रेशन इज ऑफन अ मैटर ऑफ फोर्स. मतलब अगर लोग एक जगह से दूसरी जगह जा रहे हैं, तो a lot of times it's not going to be because of choice. It means that they are being forced to do that. Now the force could be political in nature, maybe economic in nature, anything is possible. Travel is portrayed as abandonment rather than adventure. Correct. So migration in the sense कि जबरदस्ती आपको फोर्स किया जा रहा है ना कि आप ये जगह छोड़ो और कहीं और चले जाओ. Maybe the forces are political, maybe the forces are economic in nature. So that is why you are abandoning where you live, and that's why you are traveling to some other place. So not a matter of choice, but a matter of compulsion. ठीक है, डार्क है, थोड़ा डार्क है. Freedoms are kept from women, not a good thing. Okay, so this shows that yes, society has inequality present in there, and slavery is rife. What is meant by rife? It means extremely common, widespread. ठीक है, very common, very widespread. Not good, not good. So what does this mean? It means that African part of Indian Ocean world plays an active role in its long, rich history, and therefore that of the wider world. So all in all, the author has concluded the entire RC passage on a positive note once again. कि जितने डेप्थ में, जितनी डाइवर्सिटी से अफ्रीका को भी दिखाया है, तो अफ्रीका and its culture and its story and its society plays an important role in the Indian Ocean world, and by extension in the broader global story also. ठीक है. So wrapping up the passage का discussion, What we have is author says post colonial novels जो लिखी जाती थी, they used to focus on one country only, but I am not happy about it. What I like, what I love is इंडियन ओशन वर्ल्ड के ऊपर में फोकस्ड कुछ किताबें, कुछ नॉवेल्स रिटन बाय these four fellows, घोष, गुरना, कॉलिन एंड कॉनराड. And the author has gone ahead, compiled their novels in his one single book. He's talking about their novels and the feature of the stories that to be found in these stories. What are the features? First of all, इंडियन ओशन के जो रीजन था, ईस्ट अफ्रीका, अरब कोस्ट एंड ऑल दिस, दे वर अमेजिंगली इंटरकनेक्टेड टू ईच अदर. A lot of interconnected global south is happening. Inland travel might be limited, but these port cities were connected amazingly well to each other. Secondly, the story ka context, the story ka background, very different from the cliche stories and cliche background which we find in English fiction. The difference is highlighted before you on the screen. And then lastly, talking about Africa, that because of Africa, जिसका काफी डेप्थ में पोर्ट्रेल किया गया है in the story, because of that we can understand that Africa plays a very important role in the Indian Ocean world and by extension the entire world broadly. ठीक है? So I hope so far you are with me, and now let's go take a look at the questions. If you have any doubts with respect to the passage, any part that you might not have understood, please let me know in the comment section. I would be very glad to give you any kind of clarification or help you out if you are stuck somewhere. Okay? Please consider hitting the like, share, and subscribe button. It goes a long way in encouraging a humble creator like me. Okay. Coming to the first question, what does the author say? Okay, some kind of analogy, some kind of pair is given. Choose the odd pair out. Okay, should be a fair game. It means that three pairs are going to be legitimate. Let's try to see what kind of relation is present. Post-colonial novels related to anti-colonial nationalism. Yes, this is legit. Anti-colonial nationalism can be found in post-colonial novels. How do we know that? यहाँ पे clear cut लिखा है. That in post-colonial novels over here, this was important for anti-colonial nationalism. The kind of stuff that they had in their stories, it supported this. So this seems to be a legit pair. Okay, okay, fair enough. Should not be the answer. B. Indian Ocean novels outward looking. Yes, amazing, amazing, excellent. How can I say that with a lot of confidence? We are talking about Indian Ocean novels in the second paragraph, technically about these four fellows. And what is their feature? Clear cut, it is written that outward looking. So yes, Indian Ocean novels are outward looking. Post-colonial novel, they do feature anti-colonial nationalism. So on the same ground, I can go ahead and say that yes, option B is also a legitimate pair and cannot be my answer. C. Indian Ocean world slavery. Now this uh, bothered me a little bit because we have to jump through the content here and it is mentioned over here slavery is rife. But one part where I hesitated was that slavery is rife is with respect to Africa only. Whether slavery is present commonly in India or in East Asia or even in Arabian countries, we don't know. So I kept it on hold for the first time when I read it. Let's see what the fourth option is. Is it better in any way? Post-colonial novels, border crossing. Oh, okay, okay. Not at all. This is not true. Not true. Why? Because border crossing wala baat, this is a feature of the Indian Ocean world के novels. ठीक है? But what does it say? Post-colonial novels, meaning the first paragraph, ये group को हमको पकड़ के रखना है. But no, they are limited in nature. They are land focused and inward looking. They are not doing any kind of border crossing. They are not outward looking in nature. So this is not a legitimate pairing, and hence obviously C can be accepted as correct. D is going to be answer. ठीक है? Fair enough. Hardly any headache or hardly any massive inferences to be drawn. You just need to remember कहाँ पे क्या लिखा है. So a bit of detail oriented question, nothing more than that. Okay. I hope that you got this correct. Still, if you have any doubts, let me know in the comment section. Moving ahead, going to the second question now. Okay. इसको थोड़ा सा step wise समझना है आपको. What is written? All of the following if true would weaken the passage claim. Okay. First line का meaning क्या निकलता है? That three options are going to be, and obviously yes, we have accept at the end. So what does it mean? Three options are going to weaken. One is not going to weaken. ठीक है. अब किस बात को आपको weaken करना है, किस बात को आपको कमजोर करना है, let's highlight that. प्लीज पार्डन. ओके, रिलेशनशिप पैसेज में जो क्लेम किया है, क्या क्लेम किया है? द रिलेशनशिप बिटवीन मेन स्ट्रीम इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज फिक्शन एंड इंडियन ओशन नॉवेल्स. ओ ग्रेट, हमने तो इसका अभी पैराफ्रेजिंग किया था. What is the passage ka claim about mainstream English fiction and the Indian Ocean novels? I had paraphrased it for you just a moment ago. It simply implies that there is no common ground in them. English fiction wale novels mostly focused on Western countries, developed countries, white people, Christian, all that stuff. Indian Ocean novels talking about having Islam as the background, having brown and black people as the background, and so on and so forth. A lot of diversity, hardly any common ground between these two. तो ये क्लेम ऑथर ने किया है, ये क्लेम पैसेज ने किया है. एंड यू आर गोइंग टू हैव थ्री इंस्टेंसेस विच वीकन ऑथर का ये क्लेम. सो बेसिकली you are going to find three options which destroy this exclusionary mindset, which destroy this exclusive set of portrayal. Author क्या कहता है? That English fiction novels and Indian Ocean novels, ये दोनों बहुत भिन्न भिन्न है. They are completely exclusive of each other. So what does it mean when you weaken them? You are going to show some kind of intersection. And are these intersection type options going to be answer? No. What's going to be the answer? Which does not weaken, meaning that the option which is in line with what the author says, which agrees with what the author says, which supports what the author says, that is going to be answer. Okay, once again I'll repeat, what's going to be answer? The one which supports the author, the one which is in line with the passage. That's it. So what is the answer in this case? Answer is obviously going to be option B. It is spoon fed to us. Actually the options are not written in a complicated manner. क्या लिखा है यहाँ पे? Most mainstream English language novels, they have historically privileged, मतलब उन्होंने किसको भाव दिया है ज्यादा? Christian white male experience of travel and adventure. Correct. That is what's mentioned clearly in the first half of the fourth paragraph. No worries there. This is completely in line with what the author says, and hence that is the answer. It does not weaken. In contrast, options A, C, D, they actually weaken what the author is trying to talk about. ठीक है, क्या लिखा है? ऑप्शन ए देखते हैं. व्हाई डज इट वीकन? इट्स गोइंग टू कंज्यूम सम टाइम हमारा, बट प्लीज कीप इन माइंड सच क्वेश्चंस आर वेरी क्रिटिकल. ऑप्शन ए, डिपिक्शन ऑफ अफ्रीका इन मोस्ट इंडियन ओशन नॉवेल्स. अच्छा ठीक है, मतलब अमिताभ घोष की लिखी गई नॉवेल्स में डिपिक्शन ऑफ अफ्रीका कैसा है? इट इज ड्रिवन बाय पोस्ट कॉलोनियल नॉस्टैल्जिया फॉर एन आइडिलिक पास्ट. आइडिलिक मतलब खूबसूरत, सुंदर, ब्यूटीफुल, कोई लोड नहीं है. ओके, एकदम स्वर्ग जैसा सिचुएशन. ओके, हेवन टाइप narration. Is that true? No. Author has clear cut mentioned that no, boss. In this Indian Ocean novels, hardships, dark sides of the culture, they are narrated. Idyllic past nahi hai. Okay, harsh, bad things are also portrayed clearly. So this definitely goes against, this definitely weakens what the author has claimed in the passage. So not the answer. It falls in this तीन का category. C, depiction of Africa in most Indian Ocean novels. Okay, it is driven by an Orientalist imagination of cultural crudeness. Okay, now ये थोड़ा सा अनफेयर तरीका हो गया ऑप्शन बनाने का. Why? Because you need to know what is meant by Oriental. ठीक है, Orient with the capital O. अब ये पंखे वाली कंपनी नहीं है by the way. Okay, for some people who might be aware, इसके एड आते थे. इफ आई रिकॉल करेक्टली, धोनी यूज्ड टू डू इसका एड ओरिएंट पंखों का. बट व्हाट इज मेंट बाय द ओरिएंट और ओरिएंटल? यूरोपियन वेस्टर्न कंट्रीज यूज्ड टू रेफर टू चाइना, जापान, कोरिया एज द ओरिएंट और द ओरिएंट, व्हाटएवर. ठीक है, इफेक्टिवली ईस्टर्न पार्ट ऑफ द ग्लोब. Some people extrapolated it to include complete China, even India also. Ideally, India is not part of it, but yes, आप समझ सकते हो. ओरिएंटल, ओरिएंट मींस एक वेस्टर्न बंदा ईस्टर्न कंट्रीज की तरफ जैसे देखता है, उसको हम कह सकते हैं ओरिएंटल व्यू. ओके, सो व्हाट डज ऑप्शन सी मीन? कि जिस तरीके से अफ्रीका दिखाया गया है इन दिस इंडियन ओशन नॉवेल्स बाय घोष एंड गुरना, at its core the depiction of Africa is pretty much similar to the way westerners view Africa. मतलब similarity between old school English fiction old school Western view of Africa and a lot of similarity with to be found in the Indian Ocean novel. So effectively, it shows a lot of intersection in their view of Africa. Is this the case? No. Author has gone to immense lengths in the passage to show nahi 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 aisa nahi hai. Okay. So this also weakens. This goes against the passage ka claim. Not the answer. D. Very few, okay, mainstream English novels have been set in American and European cities. Oh, okay. This also definitely weakens the author because he says कि most common जो fiction आपको मिलेगा English में, it is fixated on Paris, New York, it is fixated on Europe and America only. And वो जो option D से नहीं नहीं ऐसा नहीं है, बहुत गिने चुने आपको किताबें मिलेगी, बाकी ऐसा नहीं है. So yes, this also weakens the passage का claim. And hence option B emerges as the clear winner here. ठीक है? So I hope that you got this question. काफी exhaustive, काफी detailed explanation. So ideally should not leave any kind of doubts in your mind. But still, if any, let's say, pending doubts or if any objection to the given question or the given explanation, let me know in the comment section. I'll help you out. Till then, let's go ahead. Question 3. I did not like this question. Why? Because it's vague. Question is simple, straightforward. Options are not good. क्या लिखा है? Which of the following is not true about migration in Indian Ocean world? ठीक है. Now what do we know about migration? Explicitly this, that migration is often a matter of force. मतलब जरूरी नहीं है लोग migrate दिल से कर रहे हैं, मन से कर रहे हैं, खुशी से कर रहे हैं. A lot of times they have been compelled to do it. They are doing it reluctantly. ठीक है. All right. What about it? What else? थोड़ा सा inference अगर ड्रॉ करने जाए हम, तो फ्रॉम पैराग्राफ 3 एंड टॉकिंग अबाउट कि भाई travel by sea was easier than by land, so maybe we could say that migration through seas, migration from one port city to another port city was fairly easy compared to migrating from, let's say, Bombay to Delhi. That's it. इससे ज़्यादा और more inferences we can't draw very easily. Maybe another inference that we can draw is that globalization first appeared in the Indian Ocean. So maybe one key feature of globalization is a lot of interconnectedness between people moving from one place to another, fair amount of migration. So we can say that migration is fairly common in this Indian Ocean world. That's it. इतना ही limited information we can gain from the passage. Let's see कौन सा सही बनता है according to the option and which doesn't. Option A. Indian Ocean world का migration networks very broad in its scope. It's talking about entire migration network of this entire Indian Ocean world, which is actually a big huge region actually. They were shaped by religious and commercial histories of the region. Where is it given? We only know that people migrated because of force a lot of time. Migration through sea was convenient, but the shape was because of religious priorities and the reason was commercial priorities. ये तो कहीं दिया ही नहीं. So when I read option A, I was left hanging. अभी मेरे मन में ये आता है कि this might be true, this might not be true. The passage has not given us enough information about all this. ठीक है? Option B. Migration in the Indian Ocean world was an ambivalent experience. Okay, vocabulary focused option. Ambivalent means अच्छा भी है, बुराई भी है. There are good shades, there are bad shades also. ठीक है? That's like ambivalent कि आप दिल खोल के कोई एक तरफा नैरेटिव नहीं दे सकते कि अरे नहीं नहीं बहुत बढ़िया था या फिर अरे नहीं नहीं सब खराब है. नो, both sides are possible. ठीक है? So yes, this is actually true. This is actually true as far as the information given in the passage, because people are migrating either willfully or people are migrating because of force. So it's an ambivalent experience. This is true and hence not going to be the answer because we are searching for not true. Option C. Geographical location rather than geographical proximity determined the choice of destination for migrants. Once again, this choice of destination stumped me completely. कि लोग जोग्राफिकल लोकेशन के हिसाब से माइग्रेट करते थे रादर देन जोग्राफिकल प्रॉक्सिमिटी देखते हुए. नो, प्रॉक्सिमिटी मींस कितने डिस्टेंस पे, वेदर द प्लेस इज 100 किलोमीटर फार और 500 किलोमीटर फार, ये देखकर नहीं कर रहे हैं लोग डिसाइड. व्हाट पीपल आर माइग्रेटिंग कीपिंग इन माइंड इज कि डूड व्हाट्स द लोकेशन. सो इफ द लोकेशन, इफ इट इज गुड एंड इट माइट बी 3000 किलोमीटर अवे, चलेगा, हम माइग्रेट कर लेंगे. ये सब भी कहा दिया है. मतलब ऑप्शन सी, यू कैन इन्फर if you draw massive inferences from paragraph 3, where they talk about कि यार travel by sea was far easier than travel by land. So maybe from this we can infer that a person living in Dubai might migrate very comfortably to Bombay because it's connected by sea, even though very far, as compared to a guy who might, let's say, uh, migrate from Mumbai to Jaipur. तो नहीं यार, लैंड है, बहुत तकलीफ का काम है, नहीं जाते. So at max, this kind of broad inferences might be drawn, but I'm still not very comfortable accepting option C as true or false. So once again, like option A, I was left hanging when going through it. So as you can see, I'm not on good footing in the passage in this question actually right now. Coming to option D, the Indian Ocean World का migration network connected the global north with the global south. Finally, I can say that this is definitely not true. Why? अब यहाँ पर once again a bit of jargon comes into play. You need to be aware कि भाई ये global south क्या है और global north क्या है. So let me give that explanation to you. Please pay close attention. Global north is developed countries. Europe, Russia, America, North America, specifically Australia. ठीक है. Western developed countries including Australia. Now I know that Australia is neither western nor northern, but that's the irony of it. Even though it is one of the southernmost countries, it is included in the global north because it is considered developed. So I'll repeat once again. Global north matlab North America, which is US, Canada, Europe, pura, Russia, bas. And what is global south? Rest of the world. Asia minus Russia, Africa completely, Arabian Peninsula completely, South America, and जो Indonesia वाला part है, the one which I had shown to you in the map at the start of the video, that part. So effectively, that massive region is the global south. Now, what do we know about the Indian Ocean world का migration? Time and again, author is highlighting this thing. He, please pay attention to the laser pointer. Interconnected global south, ठीक है? And south-south connectivity is mentioned. South-south interconnection. South-south interconnection. Nowhere is it mentioned that people from Indian Ocean world, they were connected in some way or form to the global north, to USA or to Europe or in the, any of that thing. ठीक है? So from this I can say that नहीं यार, ये ठीक बात नहीं है. The Indian Ocean world was very well interconnected with each other. Africa with India, with Arabian Peninsula, so on and so forth. But no talk of this region getting connected with Europe and America is happening. So yes, option D, I can comfortably say that, okay, this is not true, and hence the answer. But, because this is not an exam, not the exam, that's why I went ahead and marked it. And I actually is the answer. But अगर ये मेरे सामने एग्जाम में आता, I wouldn't have marked it because I am not at all clear what to do with option A and C. So थोड़ा भी bad luck चले, तो I would go very horribly wrong in here. Okay. So all in all, not a good question, and I have well explained to you my ambiguity, my doubt about it. Still, if you can convince me how option A and C can be thrown out or can be accepted as true, do let me know in the comment section. I am any day up for a good discussion. Coming to the last question now, and let's get this ordeal done with. Okay. All of the following claims contribute to remapping discussed by the passage except. So basically, author ने जो remapping वाली बात की है ना, जो इतनी सारी तारीफ करी थी author ने यहाँ पे कि this has the effect of remapping the world in reader's mind. After reading घोष and गुरना के novels, आपका world perspective change हो जाएगा. तो उससे related सारे claims किए हैं except one. So one claim which is not made in the passage, that is your answer. Okay. Option A, the global south was the first center of globalization. Is this mentioned? Yes. Globalization first appeared in the Indian Ocean. So is this claim made in the passage? Yes, it has been made. Hence, not in the answer. Claim is made. Okay. B, cosmopolitanism originated in the West and traveled to the East through globalization. Wait, what? कि भाई cosmopolitan having international diversity ये पहले वेस्ट में हुआ और फिर इधर आया ईस्ट में. What? No, nowhere made in the passage. Definitely nowhere made in the passage. Hence, it is easily the answer. Anyway, let's take a look at C and D. Indian Ocean novels have gone beyond the specific of national concerns to explore rich regional past. Excellent. Yes. Paragraph 2 is completely dedicated to this assertion only. and hence option C out. D. World of early international trade and commerce was not the sole domain of white Europeans. Amazing, amazing. Yes, international trade early, it was happening heavily in the Indian Ocean region, not sole domain of white Europeans. क्या बात है, क्या जबरदस्त लताड़ा है. This is made. ठीक है, so option B is the answer here. Let me know your score in the comment section. Thanks a lot for watching. If you like the content, if you like my explanation, consider joining my VRC batch to boost your scores in CAT VRC. I coach aspirants for CAT, SNAP, NMAT, and XAT exams. Get in touch with me on this mail ID or on this cell phone number of mine, and I'll help you out. And I'll let you know about the details of the latest batch that I am putting up. Okay. Till then, tada, bye bye. Take care. See you very soon.